My video for February the 26th, 2020 is video number 3378. The title is Revolutionary Thinking and Seeking Truth Required. Earlier, I watched a video entitled, quote, Defeating Deep State or Defeating Deep-Rooted Evil Requires Revolutionary Thought, end quote, with Dr. Shiva, and I don't know how to say that name, Ayyadurai. And I probably butchered the pronunciation as they would say it in India. He is an India-born scientist, engineer, and entrepreneur with a PhD from MIT. That's Massachusetts Institute of Technology, for those who don't know. He is running for US Senate in Massachusetts. I will provide links so that you may learn more about the man and his message. He has no intention of becoming a politician, choosing to serve one term and then go back to his work. Politics is not a job, unless you mean con job. Most politicians are con artists, and most attorneys con people with their unlawful legal system. If I were in Massachusetts, I would support his run after listening to him for an hour. As I see it, we need both spiritual and political change if humanity will ever be truly free of demonic deep state efforts to trap humanity forever in their prisons of the mind. Humanity has been lied to long enough, much too long from my perspective. Truth is revolutionary. Finding the truth is essential for real freedom. I'm still a seeker. Oh my goodness. I started listening to that video before I went to bed last night, but I only watched about half of it. And then I watched the other half when I woke up this morning before uploading my newest video. And of course, I didn't write the blurb for this one till after the other one was up. Sometimes I write it ahead of time. Most of the time, that's the practice. I put the one video up and then figure out what I'm going to do for the next video, although I often have an idea of what subject I want to talk about. And revolutionary thinking is absolutely critical if humanity is ever going to be liberated and set free from the bondage of lies. I don't know what it's going to take to get people to understand and to even start thinking enough outside the box to realize that most of what we've been taught is riddled with lies. I'm not saying there's no truth in anything we've been told in our religions, and all of them have nuggets of truth. And all people have to say some things that are true, even if they mix them with a bunch of lies, which is what has happened in most arenas in our structured society of religion and politics and the legal system and the economic system. Most everything is based on enslaving us, not setting us free. I like this man's message, and he's a real Indian, which means from India. The only reason American Indians were called Indians is because when they were sailing from Europe to the West, they thought they were going to find a route to India, not knowing, some people ignorantly not knowing that there were two continents in between Europe and Asia. Anyway, I was inspired by listening to this guy, and I'm, as I said, going to provide the link to his page. He's running for the United States Senate, and he's an extremely well-spoken man. He rose up from the lowest caste system in India. So he was not somebody from a moneyed family or anything like that. He made it purely on his own efforts, and he's just a brilliant individual. At least I've formed that opinion of him from listening to him for an hour. I wish we could all wake up. and see some of the things that he sees. He sees Donald Trump as actually draining the swamp, but he says it's a difficult process. And he wants to help play a part in getting us out of the quagmire of this legal prison that we're all entrapped in, the legal prison of the monetary system, because the monetary system is what has created it. We have to see these basic essentials if we are ever going to be able to take back human rights from those that have tried to trample on our human rights of free thought, free speech, freedom to associate with people that we choose to associate with, freedom of religion. And again, all freedoms have limitations. My freedom and everyone else's freedom ends where the next one's begins. I have no right to force or to coerce anyone to believe my way and think that my way is the only right way. That's what's wrong with religion. That's what's wrong with our economic system, our political system. That's what's wrong with everything in our world that we see as human beings living on planet Earth. We are coerced and manipulated by a system where a little bit of truth is mixed with a whole lot of lies. And if ever there was something that we needed, a gift of the spirit that we need discernment, as I've said in the previous video and many before that. We need to be able to determine what the truth is. But so many of the control freaks want to keep information that might get us to think outside the box away from us. They don't want us to be free. Because their whole system collapses when we know the truth and are willing to start standing together to claim what our natural rights are. Natural rights, common law rights are God-given, but they're not God enforced. That's the problem from my perspective. God doesn't enforce anything. God simply allows. I think that's a weakness of our Creator. I know there are people that will disagree with that. I'll get dislikes on by some people on this video because I say things like that. But I want to see humanity freed. I want to see truth be uplifted. I want to see the lies exposed as lies. And I want to see love become the way that we express our lives as human beings. And some people say we have to do it the way that it is now because we'd be bored otherwise. So we have to create this dichotomy between good and evil. And we have to allow evil to rise up so that we can recognize it and make another choice. Well, maybe that has some truth in it, but I think we've gone not just far enough, but too far. And if we allow it to go any further, humanity will not be able to survive on planet Earth because they are trying their best to pollute Earth by cutting out CO2 emissions and things that are necessary for life. And there needs to be a balance, and they're creating purposeful imbalances in our ecosystem and in everything. We're affected by all this stuff, folks, and we need an awakening. We need to become revolutionary thinkers. We need to be seekers of truth and able to discern right from wrong, truth from error. And we need to get beyond religion, beyond politics, and just become real human beings that are willing to lend a hand, a helping hand to one another so that we can be free and loving. Thank you for listening, and namaste.